Pope Francis advocates civil unions for same-sex couples, what it means going forward, and reaction from Cleveland Catholics.
Call it the COVID breathalyzer, the new 60-second test that could revolutionize coronavirus testing. It's being developed right here in Cleveland.
I love being around people. I love engaging. And too much time home alone is it's not good for anybody.
Coping with COVID. Everyone's feeling it, and new numbers confirm it. Mental illness is rising during this pandemic. The new trends experts are seeing and how you and your family can deal.
Stores like ours are resilient and can pivot and do whatever they need to do.
Shop local and save. The new Northeast Ohio initiative that will get you into some great mom and pop shops while saving you some cash, too.
And now, live from WKYC Studios, this is What's New.
It is almost 5 o'clock. We're about 45 seconds away from 5 o'clock, if we're being precise. And let's face it, we like precision. My name is Betsy Kling. This is Dave Chudowsky filling in for Jake Crawford. Thanks for hanging with us all week. Like, it's a big change.
It's been a bit. You know, jet lag. You have
Yeah.
jet lag. I've had TV lag all week trying to get used to it. And once I do finally get used to it, it'll be time to go back to the morning.
Back to the morning.
But you bring up the time. We always say the time in the morning, and I always want to say it now. So
Feel free. I'm sure people are just keeping an eye on the clock as well. Probably not quite as critical as in the morning, but certainly the time is upon us to get to those headlines. And we do want to begin today with the more coronavirus records being broken in Ohio. Yes, another record-setting day. There were 2,366 new cases reported in the past 24 hours. That is 350 more than just yesterday. Our rolling 21-day average is now at 1,620 cases per day. Yesterday, that number was 1,559. So basically, as the numbers go up, the averages go up too. 135 coronavirus patients were admitted to the hospital in the past 24 hours. A 3-week average on that number is 96 patients a day. And there were 66 patient deaths reported within the last 24 hours. That's 4 times the 21-day average. Also, this is important, the positivity rate report is now at 5.2%. Yesterday, that was at 4.9%. So in the world of statistics, that's a pretty significant jump. And remember, that is the percentage of COVID tests that are coming back with a positive result.
well, we have a new rapid coronavirus test, and guess what? It is being developed right here in Cleveland. It's like a COVID breathalyzer and would give results within seconds. Senior health correspondent Monica Robbins is here. And Monica, this could be a game changer.
Yeah, total game changer, Dave, when it comes to testing. Breath analyzers can already detect lung diseases, even heart, kidney, and liver failure in patients. It is now a non-invasive and non-intrusive test. So the clinic is now going to test an already available portable device to see if, one, they can teach it to recognize COVID, and then hopefully it will be able to detect it in just a minute or two.
This breath testing is able to tell whether there's a replicating virus. And there are two aspects to it. One, maybe measuring the virus print itself, or maybe our body's reaction to the virus. You know, when we get an infection, we get an inflammation response. So that may be what we'll be testing for as well. So there are a couple of ways to test.
So what the clinic is developing is actually the study. They are just at the very beginning of this research. So they have to design the study protocol. Then they have to get them approved. But they hope by the end of the year that this device will be able to recognize COVID by having infected patients breathe into it. Then once it knows what COVID is, they'll move it to those long testing lines. And maybe those folks who they don't know if they have COVID, they would breathe in it, test it, and then also get a PCR test, and then they could compare to see if the device is working. And if it does work, Dave, this is what's critical. This device is already out there, so it could be up and running pretty much anywhere that it's needed.
So not a huge waiting time, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Awesome. Outstanding. Thank you, Monica.
All right, well now most of us are used to wearing a face mask in public by now, but most of you out there aren't necessarily keeping them clean. That's according to a new study. The hygiene technology company Living Guard found that 80% of people who use the reusable cloth masks don't wash them after each use like the CDC recommends. 8% said they don't wash them at all. Experts say this is concerning because studies show detectable levels of the virus can stay on the masks for up to 7 days. Now, I have to be completely honest. When we started with the masks earlier in the year and earlier in the pandemic, we were making the reusable masks. They're great. We're telling people to wash them. I was using them too. But I obviously, since we're on TV, I have to wear a lot of makeup, and the makeup is really gross, and it's not as easy to wash the masks as you think. So I've changed over to disposable masks, and I have one for every day. But on weekends, I still love my beautiful masks that I made, and you know, it's a hard thing, I guess, to plan out the mask washing.
Well, it's very easy to just have your mask sitting in the car and not take it inside and wash it, just have it be there right when you need it to go in the store. I did a little research on this, and this is where my research stopped and ended, Betsy, all right? Treat your mask like your underwear. That's what they say.
Once a day.
You got it.
Just like Mom says, change your underwear every day.
Yeah. I got to transition now.
Yeah.
To this.
Good luck with that.
Thanks. Big news from the Pope today, and in a recent documentary, Pope Francis voiced support for civil unions for same-sex couples. That's a huge break from the Roman Catholic Church's position. Mark Namick explains what the Pope said and how people are reacting.
Since the beginning of his tenure in 2013, Pope Francis has expressed a more tolerant attitude towards homosexuality and is viewed widely as trying to move the church in a more moderate direction. In a documentary that debuted in Rome today, the Pope appeared to break from the church's traditional position. Talking about caring for people who identify as LGBT, he said, quote, "Homosexual people have a right to be in a family. They are children of God. You can't kick someone out of a family nor make their life miserable for this. What we have to have is a civil union law. That way they are legally covered." Justin Gould, president of the board of the LGBT Community Center of Greater Cleveland, and whose partner's family is Catholic, reacting strongly.
There really are two parts to Pope Francis's statement that I found profound. Yes, there's the idea that we should have civil protections for our right to love who we choose. But he also said that LGBTQ plus individuals have a right to a family. And that is something we have had to choose for ourselves for a very long time. And this idea that we as children of our God and children of our parents have a right to that love, to that stability, to that welcoming, to that place around the Thanksgiving table, that's really profound.
The Vatican has not issued a statement on the Pope's comments in the film, and we've reached out to the Cleveland Diocese for their reaction, and they've not responded. I'm Mark Namick, 3 News.
All right, well, we're going to change directions again now, get some of the latest headlines happening today from Russ Mitchell over there at the big news desk. Hey there, Russ.
It's what's new whiplash around here.
It is.
Certainly. Good to see you. Good to see you too, Dave.
You as well, Russ.
Here is what is happening today, a little more than 24 hours out from now, the final presidential debate. This is what you'll see when you tune in tomorrow night as President Trump faces off against former Vice President Biden in Nashville. As we have reported, things will sound a bit different. The candidates will have their mics cut off while their opponent delivers initial 2-minute answers to each topic. The candidates will not be wearing masks, but everyone in the audience will be required to wear them. Good news for West Side Market tenants hit hard by the pandemic. This afternoon, the city of Cleveland said it would forgive 3 months' worth of rent. Earlier this year, the city told them it would defer rent for April, May, and June, and now those months have been forgiven entirely. And Amazon says it will keep employees working from home until June of next year. That decision affects thousands of employees. Other tech companies that have extended that option include Twitter, Facebook, Google, and Microsoft. So June of 2021, you got to think that may be extended as well. This has kind of been moving for the last few months, certainly.
And those are the big companies, you know, smaller companies like here at WKYC. We still have a lot of employees that are out of the building, and our end date keeps moving too. So nothing is ever final in this pandemic.
And we miss them, certainly.
Yeah, we do miss them. Come back someday. We'll see you on Zoom.
See ya.
All right. Thanks a lot, Russ.
Bye-bye.
Well, everybody, it's a big boost. Our consumer investigator, Danielle Serena, is going to show us how to get the most out of your resume while you're searching for a job.
And Hollywood royalty back in action. What it took to get an iconic actor back in the spotlight. That's ahead in your Pop Break.
And man, did we get nailed with thunderstorms through the overnight. Heavy rain, big lightning and thunder. But what's coming up in the forecast? We look to Matt.
I think you're staying out. All right, hey there, Dave. Just setting up for this live shot here. The sun came out. How glorious is that? I think a lot of us are seeing it right now. And we're going to see more of it the next 2 days. We'll talk about how warm we get over the next 2 days and then when the bottom falls out, coming up in the forecast.
Well, it's time now for our special segment to help you get back into the job market. We're talking about our new job, your new job, and it's all about resumes today. With so many people looking for work, how do you make sure your resume doesn't end up in the file cabinet or get weeded out by computer filters that so many employers are using these days? Consumer investigator Danielle Serino is here now with how to get noticed.
We have a lower attention span than a goldfish. Okay, 8 seconds is our attention span. Goldfish have 9.
That's pretty scary if career consultant Chris McGuigan is right, especially if you have to condense your whole work history into a page or two. It's why Sheila Doris hesitated sending them after losing her job due to the COVID crisis.
I have executive experience in business development, which I'm very successful at. But on a volunteer basis, I've devoted a lot of time in the non-corporate arena. That's where my passion lies.
Problem is, her resume shows all of that. So when we sat her down with Chris, she told Sheila to focus, only include skills relevant to the field you're applying to.
You're representing a lot of keywords that are too broad and speak to too many different areas of your interest, as opposed to only honing in on those, for example, that specifically relate to business development roles.
And to find the keywords you need, check job postings for your industry.
Look for the hard skills you see repeated throughout the document, such as new business development, lead generation, accountability, whatever it may be. Those then become the keywords you would want reflected on your resume.
Third, when listing your professional experience, don't just put your duties, quantify your achievements.
They used to call me their golden goose because I would be able to establish 25 to 40 appointments a month for them.
So Sheila, imagine what you just said, establishing 25 to 40 appointments in a given time frame. If that was on your resume instead of make calls, you're talking about the same thing, but one of those sentences is far more compelling than the other.
Next, only include the last 10 to 15 years of work history, starting with the most recent, listing your exact title and dates you worked.
My biggest concern is some of the opportunities I have had to shine better in business development have been in those older positions.
But sometimes if we want to essentially name drop, or at least we're drawing attention to a success we had well in the past, you could simply have an entry or a single line that says prior experience includes.
Finally, don't forget an executive summary to show why you're perfect for the job.
These are great in order to support you for online applications, and they also help a human being who's looking at your document to get kind of a bite-sized feel of what you bring to the table.
As for your cover letter, it should include why you want to work for the company and highlight some of your greatest achievements. I put Chris's informational videos on all this on our website. I'm Danielle Serino, 3 News.
There's definitely some really good information on there.
It is, because that is a stressful thing to deal with. No question, the resume and so many questions that go into it.
Keep it updated, keep fluffing it. But not you, Matt Wintz. You're not going anywhere, buddy.
That's right. You're stuck.
You are. Oh, who's running around in the background? You have action happening.
Yeah, Emmy's, which I love. She's not into princesses and stuff. She's into worms and dirt. She picked a bunch of worms out of the ground, and then I think she's giving them a helicopter ride safely in a little cup. Is that what you're doing, honey? Yeah. Oh, yeah, fantastic. They're on the air conditioning unit right now. Mind of her own. So Peter's going to be after me now. That's great. But yeah, guys, speaking back to resume, I mean, you look back at some of the old resumes. I don't know how I got hired. I don't know about you guys, but you know, that information was certainly worthwhile. You know, what was worthwhile this morning for some of us was some of the shower and thunderstorm activity. A lot of us awakened by some of those really loud rumbles last night. We had the flooding ongoing across a good portion of the northern half of the viewing area today. And going back through time, this was along that frontal boundary that was moving in last night, a widespread 1 to 3 inches. We had lots of flash flooding going on. Thankfully, everything's kind of dried out here this evening, and we're going to dry out over the next couple days as well. We'll get some wind. That will help to kind of get rid of those puddles and some of that leftover water, and we're also going to see some sunshine. But not really tonight. We have brightening skies this evening, but not a whole lot of sun coming in and out of that. There's some filtered sunshine. You can see where that boundary has laid just down to our south and the east. If you joined me on Sunday night, I was talking about how this boundary was going to be around for 10 days straight, and we are now in day 4 of this same frontal boundary that's going to flop back and forth over the area. We are now on the cool side of things after being on the warmer side earlier today. But once you know it, here comes back towards the south. You can see that warm front. That warm air is surging in our direction. They have another day of snow up in Minnesota and areas of the Dakotas. This will be the snowiest October on record for areas up there. But for us, we don't deal with that. We get back into that summer-like pattern. And again, we could see some more showers around tonight. I don't think we'll see too many rumbles of thunder tonight versus last night. But certainly we're going to be heading back for the warmth. So let's talk it out hour by hour. You can see our steady temps tonight. We settle right around the mid-50s, and then we'll head northbound with those temps. Around 3 or 5 o'clock in the morning, we'll start to warm things up. Your National Design Mart hour by hour forecast. You can see tonight how we're dealing with the clouds. Perhaps some showers. Wouldn't be surprised if there's some areas of fog as well. We've got a lot of waterlogged soil and moist atmosphere as well, so you could wake up to some fog. Things are going to change rapidly tomorrow. We may wake up to some showers, especially further north you are. Watch what happens, though, by midday. We start to erode the clouds from the south. We're going to break out into beautiful sunshine area-wide. We'll have a nice south wind. Temperatures on the other side of that boundary, they've been so different. We're going to make it into the mid-70s. A wonderful afternoon tomorrow, and those temperatures are going to hold tomorrow evening. A strong south wind. We're still in the 60s. If you perhaps want to do some late-night grilling outside, 10, 11 o'clock, you're fine. And then Friday morning, that's how we're going to start. In the 60s, some sunshine. But then things go the other way on Friday. We'll increase those clouds, and you can see we bring in eventually some showers and thunderstorms later in the day. So we've got a wonderful set of hours here. Late Thursday, actually most of the day tomorrow on into Friday. Universal Windows Direct 7-day forecast shows what happens after that. Cold front goes by Friday. We chill down for Saturday. Temps steady all day. We warm back up slightly with some rain around Sunday night and Monday, and then temps fall again next week. So we've been highlighting on the 10-day forecast these next 2 days, and they're here. It feels like Christmas Eve, doesn't it?
It does. It's going to be nice and toasty out there. And, you know, gosh, for everybody on that midnight snack, grilling it up with burgers and dogs at 11 o'clock at night, go for it. Why not?
Hey, Matt, did you check the resume of that pumpkin before you got it?
Yeah, what's with the pumpkin?
What's the deal?
Yeah, you know, the squirrels have done wonders to our fall decorations around here. So I hope they're happy wherever you are, squirrel.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just chewed a hole in it.
Oh, okay. So if you have mysterious holes showing up in your pumpkins at home, blame the squirrels or the chipmunks. Good tip. Thanks, Matt. Backyard naturalist Matt Wentz joining us this evening. Well, I got to tell you, there is something that's really cool that's been going on that you probably didn't even know about if you're a space geek like me, though you did. The NASA spacecraft, well, one of them has touched down on an asteroid, okay? So this is an animation from NASA of the OSIRIS-REx spacecraft. This thing is 200 million miles away from Earth. It took off in a rocket in 2016. It has this arm that's going to come out. There is this collection basket. And what that thing is going to do, or what it did, is touch down on an asteroid, release some gas, collect some dust and rocks, and then lift right back off. This thing is only supposed to be, or was only supposed to be on the asteroid a very short amount of time, and then lift right back off to get well away from it. Later on last night, that little canister was stowed in the top, there you go, into the top of the spacecraft for safekeeping, because now this little spacecraft that could is headed back to Earth to bring this very precious cargo to us. Keep in mind, more than 200 million miles away. It takes light 18 minutes to reach this thing. So it's going to take a few years for the spacecraft to get back. It's expected to get back in September of 2023. And when it does, there's going to be a whole lot of happy scientists who are going to be trying to study the origins of our solar system. And what an incredible feat. An asteroid 200 plus million miles away, and they managed to land this tiny little orbiter on there and touch down. I think it's just incredible.
My mind is blown right now, just listening to you say all that, and I'm glad that you did that because I understood not much of it, but it was a good learning experience. Incredible.
Well, the big thing is NASA isn't quite sure everything went as planned because it does take time for data in the atmosphere and in the solar system to travel 200 million miles. So tonight they will be getting a report back from that spacecraft, and they'll get kind of the feedback and pictures. So we'll bring all of that to you tomorrow to report on it.
All right.
Cool
Very
stuff.
Cool.
All right, well, next, the verdict is in. We now know when the third installment of a popular 90s film will hit theaters. We have everything for you today in this show that is ahead in Pop Break.
And clever during COVID. It's paying off for a California restaurant, what they're using to keep customers socially distant.
Hello, who am I speaking with? Hi, Al, how are you? How are you?
Your nightmare.
Hey, happy belated anniversary. 1, 2, 3, mic check. No problem. Mic check 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, thanks.
Hey, I'm going to do that thing I do in the morning and say the time. It is 5:23, almost 5:24, and it's back to Hollywood for a legendary actress who's been away from the spotlight for more than a decade, and a new Get Out the Vote message. All that and more in your Pop Break. A special role is what it took to get Sophia Loren back in the spotlight. The 86-year-old star will be appearing in her first movie role in a decade. The film, The Life Ahead, features Loren, who plays Madame Rosa, a Holocaust survivor who takes care of orphan children. The flick takes place in Paris. This is a special project because the film is co-written and directed by her son. This is their third collaboration. You can check this movie out on Netflix November 13th. In case you forgot, Election Day is less than 2 weeks away, and some members of the New Girl cast are here to remind you to cast your ballot.
I'm Fawn Moscato, the People's Warrior. I'm here with Jen, Rick, and Wilson to help you cast your ballot.
It's Jess.
It's Nick. My name Winston. Nobody cares. America, you need to get out and vote.
Jess, Nick, Winston, and Councilwoman Fawn Moscato reunited for the PSA. The cast goes through the options: early in person, by mail, and in person on Election Day. They also remind viewers about basic things like filling out a ballot, your signature, and what type of ink to use.
You got into Harvard Law?
What, like it's hard?
The verdict is in, and we finally have the answer to a question Elle Woods fans have been dying to know. Legally Blonde 3 will be released in May of 2022. MGM Studios confirmed the date in a tweet, writing, Elle Woods is back. Legally Blonde 3 coming May 2022. We rest our case. Fans have been awaiting this announcement since Reese Witherspoon teased the project back in 2018.
Oh my goodness, guilty pleasure. Gonna be honest with that one. All right, worth the watch for you right now. And who's in need of some innovation? Well, instead of complaining or even closing down because of reduced seating, a popular breakfast spot in one California town is embracing the state's COVID-19 dining regulations. And it's pretty fitting for the Halloween season, too. The owner of Luisa's Place decided to use skeletons to enforce social distancing rules.
I've put them in the areas where I can't have people sitting, and everyone seems to love it, and it's fun for Halloween.
I mean, that makes sense, right? Before the pandemic, the restaurant sat about 60 people, but under California's COVID-19 guidelines, restaurants can only operate at 25% capacity for indoor dining, and that means Luisa's can only seat 12 customers inside. Remember when the pandemic started and they closed the restaurants and they were allowed to open back up, and there were some restaurants that were putting mannequins in seats, and how creepy that looked? And now it's like, hey, that's just the way it is.
It was creepy, and I like all the ideas, and it's fun, but I know that if I walked in there with my wife, we would just be walking right back out.
Aww.
She would not.
Even with Halloween?
Well, we do love our Halloween, but I don't know. I'll ask her.
Yeah, I might as well. It's all the way in California, so you have some time to decide. Not going to be there right away, hopefully.
Yeah.
All right, pandemic stress. We're going to change directions because most Americans are definitely feeling this. It has been so stressful. 2020 is bad, right? Well, we're going to tell you some ideas to help you cope with all of that stress.
And let's shop Cleveland. Betsy, local stores coming together to help you with gift ideas, right, that also support local businesses, and you're going to save money.
And kids and screen time. Mamas and papas, oh my goodness. If you are concerned about this, definitely you should be. How you can protect your children's vision while they're learning at home. We'll be right back.
improvements. Hey, Al. Governor DeWine had ordered the inspections last June after several inmates died and concerns about abuse and mismanagement emerged. The state said after 16 months, yeah, I love it. Keep it coming. I gotcha.
And now, live from WKYC Studios, this is What's New.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to What's New. It's now 5:30. I'm Betsy Kling, here again with Dave Chudowsky, who's sitting in this week for Jay Crawford.
Yeah, it's been very exciting. And back to that skeleton story we talked about. We could just plop one right here.
Yeah.
So right here on the shot, and what do you think? Would that work?
Another anchor? Yeah.
Put one over there.
Right? We could have friends running the prompter, doing the camera. Maybe that wouldn't work so well.
Probably not.
Unfortunately for us.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, it has been one heck of a year, 2020 has been. There's some weeks that we've been measuring in years during this pandemic, certainly. And that goes right into our top talker. It's not really much of a surprise. More evidence is coming out that many Americans are suffering from pandemic-induced stress. The American Psychological Association found that 500,000 more people in the United States now say they're living with a mental health condition compared to this time last year. That survey showed nearly 80% of adults say the pandemic is a significant source of stress in their life. 2 of 3 said they've experienced greater stress over the course of the pandemic. And another report found the number of people looking for help with anxiety and depression skyrocketed in the first 9 months of 2020.
America is definitely facing a mental health crisis as a result of the pandemic. We have seen an extraordinary number of people, hundreds of thousands, who have come to us at Mental Health America for help and support, far over and above what we would have seen before the pandemic.
Yeah. Experts say all of us have had our lives completely turned upside down, and finding ways to stay connected with loved ones is so important. So here are some things you can do right now to help combat the stress and anxiety brought on by the pandemic. The American Psychological Association says take frequent breaks. Take a walk, connect with friends, watch a funny video. And also remember, teletherapy is an option. Many employers are now providing that to you for free. This is reassuring. About 70% of U.S. citizens still feel hopeful about the future. Yes. And I would say, you know, hey, we're all in this together. I think that kind of became a little bit of a cliche early in the pandemic, but the fact of the matter is, we are still in this together. We're all still dealing with this at the same time, certainly, and reaching out and just saying hi to a friend and authentically asking, how are you? You doing okay? I think that is a really big thing, too. And don't be afraid to ask.
I agree. And I'm no expert, but I will say this. Whenever, I'm feeling, down or something's bothering me, I think about that, Betsy, and you say the cliche thing, right? But I think about everyone's going through it right now. So it's okay to feel that way. And the other big thing I would say is don't make assumptions. It's tough mentally, but don't assume things too much because you never really know what's going on the other side. Well, moving on, Halloween is a week from Saturday, and while being outside is a safe option, some health officials warn many indoor activities are still high risk for spreading COVID-19. We have some Halloween hacks that will keep you and your family safe while still having fun. Since being outside is the safest bet, you can deck your yard out with spooky decor. If you're into carving pumpkins, head outside. You can even try painting the pumpkins. And while masks are a must this year, you can make it cool by matching it to your child's costume. Don't forget the CDC warns against wearing both masks together. And when passing out candy, stick to individually wrapped items and get rid of that bowl. And another idea is a Halloween candy hunt. Hide treats for kids to find. That's obviously always a good one. I found this survey online. I thought it was interesting too. Kids, be careful, because parents were asked, do you steal candy from your kids?
Yeah.
Yeah, 82% of parents do.
Yeah.
Watch that candy.
Man, Halloween night to like a week after Halloween, it's the ghosts and goblins that are taking all of that candy away.
That's right.
So I have nothing to do with that. Well, we are always looking for ways to stay healthy and make healthy meals for our families, Halloween candy aside. But during this pandemic, it could be a really good opportunity to give it a go, especially now that the weather is slowly sliding toward staying in a little bit more. It is so easy for us to reach for that bag of chips or cookies or Halloween candy. Just order out. But making healthy meals together is important, helping everyone get the nutrition they need, and it also offers bonding time. If you have a picky eater, I think you'd be surprised that if you get your kids involved in the process, they're more likely to try something new if they had a hand in making it. There's a little sense of pride there. It also teaches them some new life skills.
It gives your kids some confidence in the kitchen, so when they are out of the house, they know what to do. They know how to cook something on their own. It also lessens the burden on working parents. So if your kids are able to prepare something small, or if they have something available in the refrigerator that they can kind of grab on their own.
Now, at this point, there's nothing that's been released about cleaning up after the kids have cooked. That's a whole nother hot mess of things to talk about. But there are some other easy ways to boost flavor in your meals, including keeping the spices and sauces versatile. And squeezable ginger, jars of pesto. Will your kids eat it? Why not try it? They can easily season vegetables or other dishes on the fly. Pretty slick stuff. All right, well, we're going to change directions now, Dave.
Yeah, and that was fun, though, to watch, thinking about my kids are starting to cook more now, Laura, but we're moving on to you now with some stories that you are working on. Laura Queso, hello.
Hello to you. Yeah, these are the headlines for the day. First, state officials say they no longer need to conduct monthly inspections at the Cuyahoga County Jail. Now, the state says it's because it sees significant improvements. Governor DeWine had ordered the inspections last June after several inmates died, and also concerns about abuse and mismanagement emerged. The state says after 16 months, the county jail complies with all state standards except for 7. In 2018, the jail was out of compliance with 84 of those standards. Thanks to those rising COVID case numbers here, Ohio has now been placed on travel quarantine lists in several states. That includes Chicago, where Ohioans will have to quarantine for 2 weeks upon arrival to that city. Ohio is also now on Washington, D.C. and New York's list of high-risk states, which both also require a 2-week quarantine. The Cavs are taking part in a new NBA initiative to host conversations in their communities called Team Up for Change. So today, players and GMs from teams discuss the change that they want to see. The Cavs VP of Diversity and Inclusion, Kevin Clayton, says Cleveland needs improvement in 2 areas.
One of the things that we have done is said, okay, how can we kind of amp up our efforts to help in supporting Black businesses in the community? So that's one of the things that I would love to be able to see the community rally around. How do we bring these businesses back? Secondly, when I think about COVID again as being the anchor to some of the challenges, when we think about the digital divide, which existed prior to George Floyd being murdered and the shift on racial justice, but the digital divide was already significant.
And we're told other events are scheduled throughout the week, Dave.
The Cavs and the Greater Cleveland Food Bank hosting a food distribution that is on Friday at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. Laura, thank you. We will see you on What Matters Most at 6.
Sure.
Well, we are gearing up for the holidays, and that means it's time to get your shop on. And from fashion to home furnishings, local stores carry it all. And about 40 of them are now teaming up for a group called Cleveland Shops Today, that group launched a big sale. Oh yeah, it's on. It's going to encourage you to buy local. Lindsay Buckingham spoke with business owners who say they need community support now more than ever.
It's all good. The importance of our being in these communities, whether it's Lakewood or Rocky River or Chagrin Falls, independent businesses are really, really important to support.
Gordon Geiger says his business, along with so many others, affected by the pandemic.
Everybody took a hit, there's no doubt about it.
But thanks to Geiger's nearly 90-year reputation in Cleveland, his stores are starting to fill up again.
We're clawing back. We've been doing this 88 years. We've seen 9/11, we've seen world wars, we've seen recessions, depressions.
Backed by a new initiative called Cleveland Shops, which offers various gift certificates for dozens of local businesses. Geiger and other brick and mortar shop owners hopeful the community will step up.
This helps out all us local businesses, all us small local businesses, that some are doing okay through this, some are struggling through this, and we're all in this together.
Plus, a different option for shoppers.
Whether you want to give it as a gift, whether you want to use it towards gifts, it is the perfect time, and it gives the consumer a different avenue to go down and a safer alternative.
Geiger says local shops are working together. They're getting creative to stay afloat, but need the community to keep it going.
Stores like ours are resilient and can pivot and do whatever they need to do. If the community continues to support us as they have, it's all good.
And these local business owners told me today that if you want to support local, now is the time to do it. You've got the holidays coming up. And Betsy, in fact, in a couple weeks, they're going to be rolling out a universal gift card that you can use at any of those 40 stores. We've got all that info on WKYC.com. But I have to tell you, I've seen a preview inside. Really cute stuff. My bank account's going to be in trouble.
I'm telling you, I'm on our website right now on the story, and I'm looking through the list of stores. Amy's shoes.
Yes,
I mean,
Knut's.
It's Christmas for me.
I was just thinking of you. We're going to be in trouble. We like to shop.
Lots of good ones. All right. Thanks so much for that, Lindsay. Appreciate it. Good stuff.
You got it.
Feel the same way, Betsy.
I know. You love Amy's shoes, too?
I love me some shoes. No doubt about it. All right, coming up, stay outside. Outdoor dining, it's not just a 2020 deal. We'll explain how long you'll see restaurants with seating under the skies. That's ahead in Clicking in Cleveland.
And it's the 20-20-20 rule. What is it and why our kids should be following it?
All right, and if anyone loves shoes, it's Matt Wintz. And he loves the weather, and we go to him now.
Hey there, Betsy. Squirrels going to town on our pumpkin here. I don't know what that means for the upcoming winter, but regardless, we're going to warm up the next 2 days, well into the 70s. But then it doesn't last that long, as you would expect. We've got a big cool down next week. We'll detail the next 7 days coming up in that forecast. We're coming up real quick, okay? Yeah, I got you, Al. You got me okay? All right. What do you need? You need dinner?
Yes, I am.
All right, it's 5:45, everybody, and now we take another look at that forecast. Matt, you talked about the squirrels digging into the pumpkins. Maybe they know something we don't, trying to fatten up a little bit early.
I know there's all these things that tell you how the winter's going to be across Northeast Ohio, and the truth is no one really knows, but perhaps the squirrels do, Betsy. Maybe that's into something, how many seeds they take out of the pumpkin. And they have taken well over 90% out of this one, just FYI. So we'll see what happens come spring when we can measure this. You know, we've been talking about this battle of the air masses over the last really week and a half or so, and nothing is more true or telling than looking at the same degrees latitude. We are at 41 degrees north latitude here in Cleveland. So we should have the same air mass as areas that are also 41 degrees. But look at the difference on Friday. We're going to be at 77 degrees. Meanwhile, Cheyenne, Wyoming at 41 degrees north latitude will be at 32 degrees. That tells you something's amiss with the atmosphere. And it certainly is even on a local scale. We were at 65 officially for a high today. That happened at 9:55 this morning. We've since gone downhill as this boundary continues to flop back and forth. So we're on the cooler side of things. Still pretty toasty down in Dover, New Philly, Carrollton, sitting in the upper 60s right now. Even you will fall back into the 50s overnight tonight. You can see that boundary responsible for all the flooding rainfall this morning has settled down towards our south. We have some brightening skies. You can see some blue here up along the lakeshore. Other areas starting to clear out as well. And that will likely lead to some fog overnight tonight. But that warm front down to the south along that same frontal boundary is going to quickly push back off towards the north. And the main reason why, we've got a system diving into the western half of the U.S. And as that does, what goes down must come up. So we've got all that warmth down towards the south that'll be heading our way. And you're going to notice it tomorrow. We're going to start with some clouds around, and then that temperature is going to soar during the afternoon. And we've got 2 days worth of it before that bottom drops out on Saturday. And then we'll do it all over again as we get it into next week. So let's dive into the details with your National Design Mart hour-by-hour forecast. You can see tonight we're in the 50s. Wouldn't be surprised to get more showers tonight as that warm frontal boundary lifts back towards the north. Even some fog tomorrow morning as well. Trust me, we will break out into sunshine tomorrow. Actually, you should never trust the meteorologist, but as we head into the afternoon, look how we clear out. A nice south wind by noon, 1, 2 o'clock. We're going to be well into the 70s with sunshine. It's going to be a beautiful summer-like afternoon. We stay in the 60s tomorrow night with that strong south wind. Friday, we start on the warm side with sunshine right where we left off, but then things will change. We'll bring that cold front in, and this one will be a keeper in terms of the cool air behind that. Likely some showers and thunderstorms for your Friday evening plans. Universal Windows Direct 7-day forecast. 70s the next 2 days. Saturday doesn't look bad. It will be cooler. We should see gradually clearing skies, and then more rain returns Sunday night into Monday. And next week, we do it all over again with another temp drop back into the 50s with that one, Dave. So up and down, up and down. It's very bipolar weather around here for sure.
All right. I trust you always, Matt. Thank you very much. Well, it is time now to see what's clicking in Cleveland. For that, we bring in our digital anchor, Stephanie Haney. Hi, Stephanie.
Hey, Dave. Long time no see on the TV screen there. As we get into what is new here in outdoor dining, the Cleveland City Council has voted to extend the expanded use of streets and parking lots for bars and restaurants to add more outdoor dining space through June, like we see here with the Downtown Betts restaurant and their new greenhouses on its expanded patio, which is a great idea not only to keep people apart for COVID-19 concerns, but also warm as we move into those colder months. Now, speaking of COVID-19 concerns, Browns wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. apparently doesn't have any. Listen to this.
I don't think COVID can get to me. I don't think it's going to enter this body. I don't want no parts of it. It don't want no parts of me. I think it's a mutual respect. So I wasn't really worried about the test.
He did test negative for COVID last week after not feeling well. He might be concerned, though, about a Sports Illustrated report that he's banned from Louisiana State University for the next 2 years over handing out cash to players after the Tigers beat Clemson in the college football championship game, which is not allowed. Even OBJ has to answer to the NCAA. Maybe he can spend more time watching Netflix. Here's what's new there in November. Season 4 of The Crown is finally dropping with Princess Diana on November 15th, along with a documentary on singer Shawn Mendes's world tour and relationships. And my junior high favorite, Dawson's Creek, is coming, without the original theme song though. But we are losing Brad Pitt in Moneyball and Oceans 11, 12, and 13, along with another classic, Matthew McConaughey in The Lincoln Lawyer, and brace yourselves for this one, a whole lot of Jeopardy content. Yes, you will have to get your Alex Trebek's fix in before the end of November, Dave, but I will say this, the one thing that's taking the sting out is that Legally Blonde 3 is on the calendar because that is my movie.
That's a good one, yeah. And by the way, never a dull moment with Odell Beckham Jr. Thank you for all of that, Stephanie.
I just pray he didn't curse us. All right.
Odell.
Parents, listen up. You gotta protect your kids' eyes with all of the screen time they're getting while they're learning at home and whatnot. We have some tips for you straight ahead.
Well, parents know it's important to limit how much time kids are spending on tablets, phones, and computers, but now with online learning, kids are spending more time staring at the screen than ever before. Dr. Scott Edmonds, the Chief Eye Care Officer at United Healthcare, told us that they are really concerned about the exposure kids are getting to blue light. He says it can cause long-term damage to the retina. Doctors are also seeing a new phenomenon called digital eye strain. It can cause red, itchy eyes and eye strain, but there are a few things you can do to protect their eyes.
First thing is that children like to choke up on their devices. They get real close, a couple inches away, which gives them even more exposure, but also locks their eyes into a near focus.
Well, Dr. Edmonds says kids and adults should be following the 20-20-20 rule. Every 20 minutes, they should change their focus to something 20 feet away for 20 seconds. It shouldn't be hard, Betsy, to remember the number 20, being that we're in 2020 with all this. But I'll tell you, I cringe when I think about this because, I mean, parents, we are all going through this right now.
Last week, Violet sat back and she goes, "Mommy, my eyes are watering." And she didn't understand what was going on. She was sitting too close. So, mom moment. I'm a terrible parent, but it's just something else we have to deal with.
We're feeling that way right now, yeah.
All right, I have a question. With all the politics going on, would you vote for a presidential pooch? There's a dog that's looking for your vote on election night.
You said she was kind of spacey, right? Hey, Al, testing 1, 2, 3, 4.
I think she's like in pain medicine.
Yeah, I'm turning it on. Thanks. Sorry, Al, my IP wasn't on, as you could tell. Good evening, I'm Laura Casa. Thanks so much for joining us. Yeah, thanks. Sorry, guys.
Mic check, Monica. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hello, hello, hello.
All right, today's show is something good. It's going to help lighten the political mood just a little bit with the election coming up. Oliver Winston Churchill Finelli is a 2-year-old golden doodle, and he is asking for your vote in this year's presidential election. His owners, David and Marcy, started his campaign as a bit of a joke to lighten the mood and make people laugh. You can find his portrait and slogan outside of their home, and we're told that if he wins, there will be dog treats all around for the entire neighborhood.
Something tells me there's a lot of people at home watching this with perhaps some jokes in their mind right now.
I have a feeling we're going to soon hear from a cat that is going to be challenging Oliver's presidential bid.
Oh, I thought you maybe thought for vice president.
Well, I don't know, but
could that happen on a ticket, a dog and a cat?
I don't know. I mean, that's definitely a good question. We all just need to get along, everybody.
Oh my gosh. Golden doodles, though, I have to tell you, that's a dog. We are thinking, the Chudowskys are thinking, Betsy, about getting a dog next year in 2021, and the golden doodle is right at the top of the list. I'm a big golden retriever fan, but they're too big.
That is pretty cool. Definitely keep everybody apprised of that because I'm sure a lot of people are going to want to follow along.
Absolutely. Well, we want to thank you for watching What's New.
What matters most.
Being here.
Yes, thank you. And you'll be back tomorrow, thankfully. But